ちょっとばかり生きてみようかな。でも明日が怖くて引きこもる。こんな僕でごめんね。パパとママにありがとう。学校に行くのはもうやめた。会話をするのが怖くなる。こんな毎日が続くの。明日もきっと一人きり。でもね、まだね、もっと生きたい。君が大好きだから。過去も今も未来のことも全部愛しているよ。愛されなくてもいいよ。期待されないくらいガラクだから。周りと比べると自分が弱く見えるけど、大丈夫、僕なら大丈夫。そう願っていたの、いつの日だっけな。でもね、まだね、もっと生きたい。君が大好きだから。過去も今も未来のことも全部愛しているよ。夜の星もいつかは消える。僕はうまく生きれるのかな。今日も月が明かりを照らす。これが僕の生きた証だ。明日には生きているのかな。明日から。
Welcome, Snowsos and the mighty rate of 35 viewers. Prepare yourselves for a squishy, gummy-filled extravaganza. Let's dive into some silly banter and have an unforgettable time together.
Kimiのような人になりたいな。僕らしい人になりたいな。望むならそうすりゃいいけどさ。でもそれって本当に僕なのかい。子供だましな夢一つ。こんな僕なら死ねばいいのに。こんな僕が生きてるだけで何万人の人が悲しんで、誰も僕を望まないそんな世界だったらいいのにね。こんな僕が消えちゃうだけで何億人の人が喜んで、誰も何も憎まないならそんな嬉しいこともないな。
Hey, hi. Silhouettes in an MD, yeah. That's a really old video actually, but hi. Oh no, I forgot to, give me a sec. It didn't work. I don't have it connected to Twitch right now. Sorry. Okay. Now it should work. Yeah, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it very much. What are you guys doing? The heart pulses in your eyes? Yeah, I did that myself. and I'm really proud of it. I'm a little bit low. Hold on. But yeah, I didn't really feel like playing a game. I'm gonna turn myself up. I didn't really feel like playing a game today. So I just want to read some more spooky, scary stories. Oh wait, chat isn't showing up either. Sorry, I was like taking a picture in OBS yesterday. Eee. Hello, Ash. Yeah, I was taking a picture in OBS yesterday and I turned a bunch of stuff off. Sorry, my fucking... Can you hear that? Upload ASMR to your main channel. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Because there are a lot of like Reddit reading videos online. And maybe I can get a slice of that pie. Maybe I could get a slice of that pie. Look for like 9 people, so I'd be lurking. Okay. Also, hi Genevieve. I'll upload them during my hiatus in November. I'm going on hiatus in November, by the way. If you didn't know about that. Give me 1 second. I need to put my September goals up. I have some sub goals. By the way, they're right here. If you want to look at them, these are the first 5. If we hit all 5 of these, it'll scroll, and you'll be able to see the rest of them. I'll upload my ASMR streams during my hiatus in November. Is that cool? Okay, I've got music and ambience going. Is that too loud? Or is that okay? Yay! Ugh. My stomach growl. Is the sound, am I too quiet, or is the, music too quiet or loud? So just let me know if the volume gets all shitty, because I'm still new to this. This is only my second, like, ASMR reading stream. But yeah, right now, regular subs and resubs are 30% off. And then starting Tuesday, gift subs are gonna be 30% off. So, I'm gonna be streaming the 29th to October 1st. So, if you guys wanna gift any subs to me, that would be the time. Next weekend. Okay. So, the thing that we do in my little ASMR streams is, hello Malcontent!
Oh, M4L_content, bringing in a raid with 5 viewers? Well, welcome. Let's make those 5 viewers feel right at home in our squishy, chaotic virtual dimension. Get ready for some gummy-fueled fun and shenanigans.
Thank you for the raid, Malcontent. Hello, welcome in. What were you guys doing? Nice 3D model of soy. Yay. Hello, Sentinel Uno. Senti. Hello. Dude, I'm so excited, for December. I have so much stuff to show you. YouTube Studio said, no more stream. Word. I feel that. I don't think my new model is coming next year. I think my new model is coming in December. I think that's when I have a lot of stuff to show off. Everything for my December debut is ready, except for my model. So I'm just waiting on that, and it should be done in December. The YouTube Clipper notification talking about it looks so nice. Yeah, it's coming. I have another. Well, yeah, soy. Hello, hello. Okay, how about this? How about that? Good evening, Umbra. Oh, I have my nails on. Hold on, hold on. Let me turn off my noise suppression. And then maybe you can hear me good. Listen to this. Is that annoying or does that sound good? Or like... What does that sound like? Love the little guy in your head. Yeah, it's Soy. He's my little guy. He's my TTS pet. Are you reading for you? Yeah. I'm just gonna be reading scary stories. I don't really know how to do like ASMR triggers or anything. It's just like a quiet story reading. Soy adorable. Yes, he is. Look at him jiggle. Fun. Yeah, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. He is just a little guy. What does that sound like? Does that sound good? I can't hear it. Okay, anyway, the thing that we do, on my little quote-unquote ASMR, it's not really ASMR, it's just me reading stories in a quiet voice. We usually go to r/nosleep, which is a subreddit that people submit their scary stories to. And it does have a few rules. If you guys want to go visit it yourself, it has a few rules where if you leave any comments, the comments have to, like, the whole thing about it is that they're supposed to be taken seriously. Like, kind of like the SCP Foundation, you're just supposed to pretend like they're real. None of them are actually real, but the thing is to pretend like they're real and comment like the stories are actually real. And there's no like show me proof or like fake gay, none of that. No asking for proof, no trying to debunk it, none of that. That's part of the rules. Let's do... Oh, I have a Google search thing that says r/nosleep best stories. The greatest no sleep stories ever. We used to live here. Okay. Okay, there's a separate subreddit called r/nosleepooc, which is a subreddit that is no sleep, just out of character. Hello, Manic Raccoon. Hello, hello. Okay, let's just go through the top stories. Sort by top of all time. It's an old subreddit. Like, I read one story that was like 13 years old and it was crazy. So we've got plenty of stories to go through. Let's see. Something happened 63 years ago that's haunted me my entire life. Let's look at this one. I prefer not to do stories that are series. I like to just read little one-offs, but if they only have like 1 or 2 parts, that's fine by me. I'm gonna listen to some stories while I'm working. Nice. That's good. I don't really like this playlist. It's I'm gonna go to this other one. Yeah, Silent Hill 2. Oh, speaking of Silent Hill 2, when I was on Andu's stream on Friday, me, Fortune, and Mephi were talking about VR chat worlds, and they mentioned that there's a VR chat world that's just like the Silent Hill town, and I think it has like boss fights. It's the Silent Hill 2 version though. I don't think it's the Silent Hill 1 version, but I'm pretty sure if I just look, I can find a recreation of Silent Hill from Silent Hill 1. So I thought that would be really fun. I've been thinking of doing maybe a VR chat hangout. VR chat hangout with my subscribers on Friday the 13th, because next month, October, has Friday the 13th, and I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna put up a song cover on that day as well. Yo, yeah, right? Friday the 13th in October. Very exciting. So yeah, that's what I want to do. If you want to join me, please join my Discord, and if you're subscribed, you will have access to the subs only channel. I've been trying to keep up with it, like doing special things for subscribers, but I've been having kind of a hard time keeping up with it. I'll try to post more in there. I think I want to post a couple early access to my song covers. I think that would be fun, and maybe I can give you guys special sneak peeks for all of the stuff that I'm gonna debut in December. It's a lot of stuff, like a complete overhaul. I'm gonna have a new model, a new overlay, another new model that I haven't told anybody about. And it's gonna be really fun, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, let's just start reading. This one is called Something Happened 63 Years Ago That's Haunted Me My Entire Life. I've never told anyone about it until now, by Sergeant_Darwin. I'm gonna move this over here. Okay. It's official, I'm an old man. For the last couple of years, I've comforted myself saying I'm in my early 70s, but math is simple and unforgiving. Today is my 75th birthday, and God, the years do fly. I'm not here for your well wishes. This is hardly a milestone I'm excited about. I'm glad to still be here, of course, but I find I have less and less to live for with every passing year. My bones ache, my kids live far away, and the other side of my bed has been empty for just over 8 months now. In fact, once I cast my vote against that goddamned Trump this November, I may have nothing to live for at all. So spare me your happy birthdays and congratulations, if you please. I'm here because I have a story for you, and it's one I've never told before. I used to think I kept it inside because it was silly, or maybe because nobody would believe it. I found, though, that the older you grow, the more exhausting it becomes to lie to yourself. If I'm being perfectly honest, I've never told anybody this story because it scares me, almost to death. But death seems friendlier than it used to, so listen close. Give me a sec. I think I want to put my hair up. Cause I'm getting kind of sweaty. Give me a sec. I gotta take my hand trackers off for it. Just, let me know about the volume if I ever get too loud or too quiet, and same for the music and ambience. Put my hair up. I wish so bad I had white people hair. You have no idea. I mean, but it also seems that white people want my hair, so I don't really know. Maybe if I did have white people hair, I would wish for my hair. It's kind of hard to do with fake nails on. Okay, I think that's better. My hair is off of my back. Okay. Where do we leave off? Okay. The year was 1950. The setting, a small town in Maine. There's a Stephen King. I was a boy of 9, rather small for my age, with only one friend in the world to speak of. And his family, seemingly on a whim, decided to move 2,000 miles away. It was shaping up to be the worst summer of my life. My pop wasn't around, and my mom was a chore whore. What? Boy, was I proud of myself when I came up with that one. Oh, you just made it up. So I wasn't apt to hang around the house. With some hesitation, I decided the public library was the best place to be that summer. The library's collection of books, particularly children's books, was meager to say the least, but within the walls of that miserly structure? How do you pronounce that? Probably. I would find no undone chores, no nagging mother, God rest her soul, and perhaps most importantly, no other children with whom I would be expected to associate. I was the only kid with a low enough social status to spend his precious days of freedom sulking amid the bookshelves, and that was just fine with me. The first half of my summer was even more dreadful than I had imagined it would be. I would sleep in until 10, do my chores, and then ride my bike to the library. And by bike, I mean a rusty log of shit attached to a pair of wheels. Once there, I would split my time between unintentionally annoying the elderly patrons and deliberately doing so. One pleasant lady actually interrupted my incessant tongue-clicking to hiss a "shut the fuck up" at me. The first time I ever heard a grown-up use the F word. Big fucking deal, I know, but in those days it was unheard of. The dreary days turned to woeful weeks. I had actually begun praying for school to start again until I discovered the basement. I could have sworn I'd roamed every inch of that library, but one day, in the far corner behind the foreign language collection, I stumbled across a small wooden door I had never seen before. That was where it all began. The door was windowless and made from oak that looked far older than the wall in which it rested. It had a knob of black metal that quite literally looked ancient. I wouldn't have been surprised to learn it was crafted in the 17th century. Engraved on the knob was what appeared to be a single footprint. I had the sense that whatever lay beyond this door was forbidden to me, and therefore probably the most interesting thing I would encounter all summer. I quickly glanced around to make sure nobody was watching me, then turned the heavy knob, slipped behind the door, and shut it. There was nothing, only darkness. I took a couple of steps and then stopped, unnerved by the totality of the shadow which surrounded me. I waved my hands in front of me in an attempt to find a wall or a shelf or anything to hold on to. What I actually found was far more subtle, a small string dangling from above, but far more useful. I grabbed it firmly and pulled it down. Back in the day, lots of light bulbs were operated with strings, and this was one of them. My surroundings were instantly illuminated. I was standing on a small, dusty platform that looked as though it hadn't seen life in quite some time. To my left was a crickety-ass spiral staircase, made of wood and appearing ready to collapse at any second. The bulb was the only source of light in the room, and it was feeble, so when I peered over the railing to see what lay below, the bottom of the staircase dissolved into darkness. I was beginning to feel scared. This place, wherever I was, seemed to have no business in a town library. It was as though I were in a completely different building, but no 9-year-old likes to let a mystery go unsolved. Looking back, I wish I could tell my prepubescent self to turn around, go back, do anything else besides descending that staircase. You'll be spared a lot of sleepless nights, I'd say. But, of course, I didn't know that then, and I may not have listened even if I had. So instead of turning back, I took a deep breath, gripped the railing, and glared resolutely forward as I began my descent. The wood on the railing was dry and covered with splinters. I immediately let go, holding my hands out for balance as I carefully traversed the staircase. It was, or at least seemed, very long, and with only the dim glow from the string bulb far above me, my heart pounded mercilessly in the darkness. Even kids can sense when something isn't right, I think. They just don't always give a shit. By the time my feet reached the cement floor at the bottom, the light from the bulb above was very nearly a memory. But there was a new light source, and God, I'll never forget it. Directly in front of me was a door, massive and a deep shade of red. The light was coming from behind the door, and it shone out in thin lines from all four sides, a sinister, dimly glowing rectangle. For the second time, I took a deep breath and went through a door I shouldn't have. In contrast to the dank room I entered from, the room behind the door was blinding. When my eyes adjusted, what I saw nearly took my breath away. It was a library, the most perfect library imaginable. I gaped in wonder as I stepped, almost reverently, further into the room. It was beautiful. It was smaller than the library above, much smaller, but it seemed to be almost tailor-made for me. The shelves were packed with brightly colored titles, both armchairs in the middle of the room were exquisitely comfortable, and the smell, my God, the smell, was simply unbelievable, sort of a mixture of citrus and pine. I simply can't do it justice with words, so I'll suffice it to say that I've never smelled anything better, not in my 75 years. What was this room? Why had I never heard of it before? Why was nobody else here? Those are the questions I should have been asking, but I was intoxicated. As I gazed around at all the books and basked in the smell of paradise, I can only form one thought: I will never be bored again. In truth, boredom only hid from me for 3 years. It was on my 12th birthday, 63 years ago to this day, that everything changed. Thank you for the lurk, high anxiety. Thank you. Before that day, I visited my basement sanctuary as often as I could, usually several times a week. I never saw another soul down there, yet strangely remained free of suspicion. I never removed a book from that room, but instead would pick up a particular volume wherever I'd stopped reading during my previous visit. I sat, always in the same deep purple armchair, and always leaving its twin barren and directly across from myself. That armchair was mine, the other was, well, I suppose I couldn't have articulated it then much better than I can now, but it wasn't mine, that's for damn sure. On my 12th birthday, I arrived later than usual. My mom had invited a couple of classmates and some cousins over to our house to celebrate, a gesture which I found more tedious than touching. Really, I just wanted to spend my birthday sitting and reading and smelling paradise. Eventually, our guests went home, and I made it to the library about 15 minutes before closing time. I'm sorry. I'm putting ad breaks on snooze. 15 minutes before closing time. That didn't matter. The workers never checked down there before they locked up. I was free to stay as late as I wished. This particular night, I was devouring the final chapters of an epic adventure. Knights, swords, dragons, and the like. I didn't smell it until I reached the final words and closed the book. The once exquisite aroma of that room had turned sour. I sat for a moment, unsettled. Objectively, I could recognize that the smell was actually the same as it had been before. That mixture of citrus and pine. I just perceived it differently, and I didn't like it anymore. It was like the nasal version of an optical illusion. You know, the one that looks like a young woman glancing backward, but all of a sudden you see that it's really an old woman facing toward you. You can't unsee that, and I couldn't unsmell this. The spell was broken. The odor also seemed for the first time to be coming from somewhere specific. With a fair amount of trepidation, I stalked around the room, sniffing the air like a crazed canine until I came to a shelf near the back. The shelf was perfectly normal with the exception of one title, a large leather-bound cover of a solid faded maroon, with one striking black footprint at the top of the spine. This was the source of the smell. I opened the front cover and saw one sentence scrawled neatly in blood-red ink atop the first page. Rest your sorrows down, friend, and leave them where they lie. I stared at the sentence, mesmerized, as I began to retreat to my chair. I turned a page. Blink. The smell became stronger. Another page. Blink, and the smell grew stronger still. I stopped for a moment, suppressed a gag, and continued walking. Then, as I neared the armchairs, I turned one final page, and there, in the same sinister print, was the last thing I expected to see. My own name. I dropped the book. I began to sprint towards the door, but as I shifted my gaze forward, my heart leapt to my throat and I stopped in my tracks. The empty chair wasn't empty anymore. An aged man in a suit sat before me, one leg crossed over the other, contemplating me with piercing gray eyes and a light smirk. This was all too much. I fell to my knees and expelled the contents of my stomach onto the carpet. I wiped my mouth, staring at my vomit, when I heard the man let out a chuckle. I stared at him, disbelieving me. "Who are you?" I asked, panic in my voice. The man leapt to his feet, grabbed me gently by the shoulders, and helped me to my chair. He sat once again in his own. "I fear we got off to a bad start," he said, glancing at the pile of sick on the carpet. "The smell, it does take some getting used to." "Who are you?" I repeated. "Tonight you will know hardship like you've never before known," he said. "I come as a friend, offering you refuge from it, and from all other storms which lie ahead." I wanted nothing more than to leave at that moment, but I remained seated. I asked him what he was talking about. "Your mother is dead, my boy, by her own hand, in her kitchen. The scene is gruesome, I must admit," he said in sorrowful tones, but was there a playful glint in his eye? "Surely you wish to avoid this path. I can show you a safer one." My blood ran cold at the horrors this man spoke of, but I did not believe him. "What do you want with me?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. He laughed, an old, raspy yelp that seemed to shake him to his bones. Nothing but your friendship, dear boy," he said. Then, sensing I found his answer inadequate, he expounded. "I want you to come on a journey with me. My work is noble and you will make a fine apprentice, and maybe, when I'm done," he sighed tiredly, running his bony fingers through his thin white hair, "maybe then my work can be yours." I stood up, shuffling toward the door but never breaking his gaze. "You're crazy," I told him. "My mom isn't dead. She's not." "See for yourself if you must," he said, gesturing toward the door. I threw him a contemptuous glare and bolted for the exit. As my hand closed around the knob, he said my name softly. In spite of myself, I turned around. Your road won't be easy, friend." Your road won't be easy, friend. If it ever becomes too much for you, and I mean ever, he said, pausing to sweep his hand over the room. You know where to find me. I slammed the door behind me and took the decrepit stairs 2 at a time. I exited the library, clambered onto my bike, and hightailed it home. The front door was wide open. I dismounted, leaving my bike in a heap on the ground, and approached the house cautiously. The old man was lying. He must have been. Still, tears began to sting my eyes. Heart pounding, I stepped inside and called for my mother. I heard no answer, so I turned into the kitchen. To this day, I don't know why she did it. I lived in that small town in Maine my entire life, although I've kept mostly clear of the public library. Once, in my late 20s, I summoned the courage to step inside. Life was good at that time, and my fear had begun to morph into idle curiosity. Where the door to my basement sanctuary once stood was only a blank wall. I asked the librarian what had become of that basement, though in my heart I knew the answer. There was no basement, she said. There had never been a basement. In fact, if she had her facts correctly, city zoning ordinances prohibited a basement in the area. I've been haunted by that sickly sweet smell, that poisonous blend of citrus and pine, ever since that long ago birthday. When I saw my mother in the kitchen that day collapse in a pool of her own blood, I smelled it. When a man claiming to be my father knocked on my college apartment door, begged me for money, and beat me to within an inch of my life when I refused, I smelled it. When my wife miscarried our second child, I smelled it, and again when she miscarried our fourth. When our oldest son got behind the wheel of the family Buick completely shit-faced and got his girlfriend killed, I smelled it. I began to smell it periodically as my wife became sick. She died late last year, and now I'm alone for the first time in more than half a century. Now I smell it every day, and it feels like an invitation. A few months ago, I went back to the library, and the small oak door with the ancient handle was there, right where it used to be. My evening walk has brought me past that library every day since, but I haven't gone inside. Maybe tonight I will. I'm frightened to die, yes, but lately I'm even more frightened to keep living. The old man was right. My road hasn't been easy, and I doubt it will get any easier. Rest your sorrows down, friend, and leave them where they lie. He promised relief. A refuge, he said. Was he right about that too? There's only one way to find out. After all, I still know where to find him. Okay, that's the end. There's a link to a YouTube thing? What is this? Oh, well, he has a YouTube page. At Sergeant Darwin, the scary story guy. Okay. It was written very well, but, nothing really happened. It's incredibly well written, but nothing really happened? Am I dumb? Maybe I just, don't get it. Spooky old man, dude. Hell yeah. There's another one with a very interesting title. It seems to maybe be about the same length, if a little longer. Spooky old man. Yeah, the guy that wrote it, has a YouTube channel just called Sergeant Darwin. And it looked like he does, a variety of horror things like me. So if you like that story, I recommend checking him out. Okay, this one is called I Met Someone Who Claimed to Be the Devil, and I Think I Believe Them, by 1,000 Rogues. Hello, Jordan. Hello, hello. Let me start off by saying that I'm not particularly religious. If you ask me if I believed in God, I'd probably just shrug, grunt out a few words about being on the fence about it, and continue with my day. Of course, that was before last night. My friends are the kind of people who like wild nights. Crazy parties, snort a bit of coke, take a bit of E in the bathroom, maybe hook up with someone and leave a text on my phone at 10 past who the fuck knows, telling me that they don't need that ride I'm offering after all. Not to say I don't like a drink, I do, it's just clubs aren't my style. Lying low in a pub somewhere, a drink in hand, listening to the TV drone on to whatever channel some scruffy guy in the back barked out for. I guess that's my idea of fun. So when my friends tell me they want to go out for a night on the town, I say sure. I hang on for the first club, buy a non-alcoholic beer in case my car is required, and try to pretend that I'm having fun. By the time I see them grinding on girls, on guys, when they strike conversation with someone who definitely might be a dealer, well, I decide my services are no longer needed. We aren't too far out. The night tube is... We aren't too far out. The night tube is on beck and call, and I can always find my car the next day. Tube! Fucking tube! That's when I wander out of the club, look for something a little more rustic. Not that that's hard to find, not at all. I found myself in a bit of a state inside a bar called the Ragged Feather. Wasn't a fan of the name all that much, but the drinks were cheap and the largest demographic seemed to be middle-aged men watching reruns of the football. The football, which I assume is soccer, because this person seems to be British. I tried to pretend I hadn't just staggered out of the club with my ears ringing. I slicked my hair back, slipped my phone into my hand, and wandered over to the bar. I took a double shot of whiskey and drank it in one hit. Just because I wasn't at the club didn't mean I couldn't have a good time. I hung at the bar a while on my own, scrolled through my phone pretending I was doing something far more impressive than I really was. Hi, Crasher. Hello. I kept an ear out for the guys on the sofas. They'd get vocal every now and then. I think the football was just running highlights, but they were incredibly dedicated to their teams. I got all their whiskey and bled into the background? Bled into the background. I don't think I've ever heard that before. I don't know. It's British. Of course, stragglers from clubs are commonplace. It wasn't long until some scantily dressed women staggered in, laughing.
Hey there, Banners to TV and the awesome rate of 16 viewers. Welcome to our squishy little paradise. Prepare for a wild ride filled with laughter, goofy jokes, and just a hint of playful mischief. Let's make this raid one to remember.
Yay! Hi, Nanners! What were you guys doing? I didn't feel like playing a game today, so I'm reading scary stories off of, a subreddit called r/nosleep. Banana Bunch Raid! Banana Bunch Raid! Yay! I love the color of that heart emoji. It reminds me of those banana flavored popsicles. Tears of the Kingdom. Oh yay! I need to get a capture card and play Breath of the Wild. I have Breath of the Wild on my Switch. Princess Zeldor. Yeah, I love the banana popsicles. I want one now. I don't have any. I want one. They taste so good. Yeah, they don't taste like banana, but they do taste really good. Also, if you have anything to promote, like an art piece, or if you just want to like introduce yourself and your streams, please feel free to. Obviously you don't have to, just for fun. There's an ad break coming up in about 1 minute, so if you guys stick around through that, We'll get back to the story. Give me 1 second. Nanners is a cute, derpy space kitty who loves to get into shenanigans. Yeah. What does that sound like? I'm just like... I'm just rubbing my my pop filter. Is that a good sound? I don't know. I don't know how to do ASMR triggers or anything. Whoosh whoosh. Let's go. Yeah. It's not really like proper ASMR. I'm just reading spooky stories because I don't know how to do triggers, but I think I'll learn. It's only my second ASMR stream. It must be true. Thank you for the follow, small trend the bean. Hello, hello. I don't know what that sounds like. Okay, the ad break is now over, so we will keep reading. Of course, stragglers from clubs are commonplace. It wasn't long until some scantily dressed women staggered in, laughing, chuckling, pointing for where they wanted to sit. I saw a guy walk in with his friend slung over his shoulder. Catatonic, most likely. He threw his friend onto one of the leather sofas ingrained with beer and smokes and demanded 2 pints of water and all the peanuts the bar had in stock. The bartender seemed bitterly amused. Some of the girls were taking selfies, Snapchatting their friends who were still at the club. They were ordering shots, gearing themselves up for the next leg of their night. A couple blokes wandered in with curries and takeout trays. I saw someone eat a Big Mac on the outside seating through the window. This was a night for the young and inebriated, and my mind was just dulled enough by the whiskey to enjoy the characters I could watch peaceably without interacting with. That is, until someone slipped into the seat next to me. Do I look like a girl with daddy issues? That's what she said. That's what she said. In the story, it says that. Randomly grab stuff on their desk like scissors or crumpled paper, or plays with jars of peanut butter. Oh. This is amazing ASMR in itself, thank you. I do have a little thing, like a little booklet. It's an instruction booklet on my my old Wi-Fi extender that I don't have anymore. What does that sound? Does that sound good? Yeah. Good. I've got a controller here that I could maybe like press buttons on. $2 years? Whoa, dude. You've been here for half of my streaming life. Tomorrow is my streaming anniversary, actually. Spectrum still being dumb. Word. It was being dumb for me last night. I don't know what I'm doing. Thank you. I'm not really gonna do anything special for it because I didn't have time. I debuted Soy's 3D model yesterday. I mean, if you guys want to get me anything, I really like art. I really like fan art. If you guys want to get me anything for tomorrow, you don't have to. Anyway, she came in and she said, "I look like a girl with daddy issues." She was of average height, although that wasn't apparent immediately due to the fact that she was leaning her arms heavily against the bar. She was slim, with short and astoundingly bright red hair. It framed her round face, a face that was marred with smudged eyeshadow, smudged lipstick, had to look like her makeup was in the process of melting right from her face. There was a chip knotted into a curl in her hair, just by her forehead. Like a French fry? I don't know what that means. The drunk side of me was actually tempted to pick it out. The girl was clearly drunk, and as I looked around the bar, I couldn't quite place where she had come from. She didn't belong to the crowd of selfie takers. She wasn't with the catatonic guys. I hoped for her safety that she wasn't with the middle-aged men. I tried to look out the window to see if maybe a group was missing one inebriated, bright-haired girl, but I couldn't. The window had fogged up. Too much heat inside, not enough outside. "Are you okay?" I asked her. She pointed her finger at me. "Answer my questions," she slurred. I really wasn't sure what to say. I settled on staring at her awkwardly, trying to answer her with the bemused expression on my face. The girl's lips curled into a drunken smile. She snorted, placing a hand over her mouth to smother her laughter. It only really aided in the deconstruction of her lipstick. "I do, you know," she said, pushing herself up a little against the bar. "Have daddy issues, I mean." In case that wasn't obvious, she gestured to herself. To the mussed clothing that must have looked quite spectacular when she'd left home that evening. To the stains that looked a lot like old food. Sticky residue on her neck and shoulders that was quite obviously a thrown drink. "What happened?" I asked her. Her hair had curled around her neck, I realized. It was sticky with that same substance. She was a wreck. "I got into a couple of fights, no big deal," she said, shrugging. "Didn't start any, of course. No, I don't do that. But my father..." Your dad did this to you?" She smiled brightly. "In a way." "Do you need me to call someone?" I already had my phone in my hand. The girl looked like she was probably in her early 20s, but that didn't mean she couldn't have been suffering from some kind of paternal abuse. The only number I knew off the bat was Childline, which wasn't quite appropriate. The police? Jesus, was I going to have to deal with the cops tonight? The bobbies! The bobbies! While my friends were snorting coke not 2 doors down, the girl pushed my hand down firmly. She was already shaking her head. "No," she told me. "I don't want you to call anyone." Now her expression changed. It wasn't the attempted sultry look I'd seen on many girls of her state. It was open and wide and engaging. She wanted something from me, and I felt compelled to give it to her. "I want something else." "What do you want?" I asked her. "To tell you a story," the girl said before glancing to the bar. "And for you to buy me a drink. The universe is a... Sorry. The universe is a pain sometimes, and I'm afraid I think I might have lost my wallet." I laughed. I didn't know this girl, didn't know where she'd come from at all. My nights were generally about getting comfortably wasted and making sure my friends weren't dead in a ditch by the end of it all. I was used to getting hit on every now and then, but even as I was sat on that bar stool with a drink in my hand, I knew that this wasn't what that was. This girl had no intention of getting into my pants. All she wanted was to talk. I guess I was okay with that. "What's your poison?" I asked her. Her lips quirked. "Apple teeny." What? Thank you for the follow, Deadeye. Hello, hello. My neck itches. Eee. Oh yeah, I want to try changing my name on my Twitter real fast. It wouldn't let me do it before. It kept saying, "Something happened, but don't fret. It's not on your end." Okay, yeah, there it goes. It's saved. Neat. Okay. The bar offered a very limited cocktail menu, but by some miracle I was able to order her an appletini from the list. I ordered a cider to go with it, suddenly a little too aware of where this night could go. I'd unthinkingly supplied this liquored-up stranger with even more alcohol, and she clearly had a rough night of it. A part of my old instinct came back. The same instinct that had me texting my friends every few hours to make sure they hadn't wandered off to somewhere dangerous beyond the club. With no one but the bartender aware of our existence on these stools, I realized that I was suddenly responsible for this very drunk stranger. The girl coddled her drink, running her finger delicately over the rim of the muggy martini glass. "This takes me back," the girl said amiably. She looked at me suddenly, her green eyes startling. "You know what this was called originally?" She smirked before I could answer. "An Adam's apple martini." I snorted. "Yeah, I think I've heard that before." "Of course, it wasn't actually an apple," she continued, eyes moving back to her glass. "The text translated that part wrongly, mostly because you people don't have a word for it anymore. The fruit was incredibly exotic, and, to be honest, it doesn't exist in this realm of existence. Only Eden." She laughed dreamily. "And Eden's long gone." I stared at her. "Are you okay?" It was more honest than the last time I'd asked her, mostly because I was beginning to feel a little dread creep into my stomach. "Of course," the girl said, grinning widely. "Why do you keep asking?" "I mean," I stuttered, now don't take this the wrong way or anything, but you look..." "Like someone poured their drink over me?" the girl asked. Like someone else threw their kebab on my dress, and another unpleasant chap littered me with his fish and chips? That I have been hit, slapped around a bit, and left in the gutter for the rats to find me?" She held my eyes for an incredibly long time before her face broke out into a grin. "Yeah, something like that." "Why would they do that?" I asked. "Why wouldn't they?" the girl shot back. "People aren't that great, and alcohol makes them worse." She shrugged. "Sometimes makes them better. Nicer, a little looser in the sack, but mostly just annoying and a little smelly." I looked at her. I watched her knock back her drink. She exuded the intelligence to know just how ironic her words were, but she was neither caring nor apologetic about them. The girl looked at me again. "Bought me a drink. Now you can listen to my story." I nodded wordlessly. She smiled, pointing at the bartender and then at her drink. The bartender was already making her another. "Eden," the girl said, reiterating her earlier babble as though the words had only just come out of her mouth. "They always think that's my fault, you know. The reason Adam and Eve got kicked out of their perfect little nudist paradise." She shot me a knowing glance. "Only in Eden can you sit on the grass butt naked and not get a pine cone stuck in your crack." I blinked. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm not following." "Sorry," the girl said. "My story won't make any sense without a proper introduction." She reached out her hand. "Hello. My name's Lucifer." She winked. "But you can call me Lucy." Hell yeah, dude. The devil's out fucking partying and getting their pussy slammed. There's an uncomfortable heat that stretches through your veins when you first go into fight or flight mode. Adrenaline pounds through your blood, and all you want to do is get up and go. It overrides everything else. A lot of things made sense when the girl told me her name. For starters, that she was crazy. She had to be. She looked like she'd been attacked on 4 separate occasions in one night, and up until that moment, I hadn't known how that could be possible. Behind the melty makeup and dirty clothes, she was rather attractive, and her attitude hadn't come off as catty or rude. Dude, the devil has daddy issues, they just said. If she'd been going around telling people she was the devil, though, that gets a reaction out of people. I suddenly felt myself looking down at her wrist, down towards her ankles. Did she have some kind of cuff on one of those from one of those mental institutions? Had she broken out of the hospital after a nasty bump on the head? Was any of this even happening at all? I really would have to call the cops. I know what you're thinking, the girl, Lucy, said. You're thinking that I'm crazy, that you need to get out of here. Maybe you even think I'm aggressive. Are you? I asked her. Would I be here with you drinking apple teenies if I were? She asked, fluttering her eyelashes. Would you look the way you do if you weren't? I shot back. She grinned, toasting her new glass. Touché. Unthinkingly, I clinked my cider against it. Then I frowned. She chuckled, leaning closer. Let's have a little wager, she said. Let me tell you my story, and, if you believe me when I'm done, you can't go about trying to get me locked away somewhere. I stared at her. If I ended up believing you, then why would I do that? She smirked, sipping her drink. You'd be surprised what people do when they believe you're the devil. And you do this often? I asked. Tell people you're Satan? She snorted into her drink. My stomach just made a weird noise. Not as often as I should, but it's been a rough day and a hell of a long lifetime. I'd like to have a chat if that's alright with you. I waved to the bartender for another whiskey. The girl's eyes glinted with humor. I wasn't necessarily trapped with her, but a part of me didn't want to leave without first hearing what she had to say. Besides, at the end of it all, I couldn't just leave a crazy girl to wander around London alone at night. They are British! Ooh! So, I said, taking a swig of my drink, Eden? Lucy laughed. Adam and Eve, I continued. You're saying that's true. God created 2 humans and we all came from them? God made 2 prototypes, Lucy corrected with a raised finger. My father created angels as his toy soldiers, but he had failed to make anything like himself. After us, it was his next big project, and he spent every waking hour of existence slaving over his 2 prototypes. He gave them a perfect utopia to live inside of, but he wanted to test them. He wanted to know whether they had free will. And did they? Lucy's face soured. No. My father could never bring himself to go that far. He tempted them with the idea of knowledge beyond their understanding, and told them exactly what they could do to claim it as their own. But to be able to create a being that could go against his law? Oh, my father is a very controlling being. He was afraid to unleash that ability onto them. Lucy was very adamant in her delusions, that was clear to me. She spoke about her father with such distaste that I began to feel bad for her. Only someone who had been hurt very badly would have the gall to spite God himself. And what? I asked her, entertaining her delusion. You were the one that tempted them in the garden? The devil has been a girl this whole time? She smiled. I dabble. Then she looked at me, raising a brow. All of humanity thinks that temptation came in the form of a snake. Snake's legs were taken away as punishment for drawing Eve towards the forbidden fruit. She laughed, a hard and short sound. Snakes never had legs, and it was not a sin to tempt those poor prototypes into doing what they did next. Her shoulders were very tense as she took her next sip, but her eyes were filled with exhilaration. She seemed thrilled to be telling me this. I was the favored child. My father loved and adored me. He named me the Lightbringer. I was stood at his side during the creation of this earth, during the creation of humanity. She pursed her lips, slamming her empty glass against the table. The bartender eagerly went about making another. My father couldn't bring himself to go that extra mile, so he asked me to walk amongst the prototypes and tempt them myself, draw out their desire for the forbidden power he had hinted at. You're saying God wanted us to know this stuff? I asked her skeptically. I'm saying God was afraid of his own power and wanted very desperately to share what he knew with the creation he had made. Right and wrong, left and right, all that stuff. Lucy shrugged. Are you familiar with the story of Prometheus? I frowned at her. Greek, right? They say he stole fire from the gods or something to help. The whiskey was making me a little foggy, and I struggled with the direction I'd been heading. Lucy grinned. Correct, she said, cutting off my attempt. Prometheus stole fire from the gods to ensure that humanity progressed. You'll find that every culture has an idea about where humans got their ability to evolve, to move forward, to create. God was the creator, and he wanted to give that ability to his prototypes. I gave them that ability by tempting Eve to eat the fruit. She shrugged impassively. Now the world sees me as the ultimate evil. If what you're saying is true, I said slowly, then God must be just like us. Lucy's lips thinned into a feral smile. My father is very egocentric. He may have planned to create you in his image, but in the end, all he managed was to mold your minds into his. He gave you autonomy, the ability to think for yourselves. His angels were his soldiers, and I was his most faithful. Until that day. Angels don't have free will? No, Lucy said, they don't. And what about the devil? I don't know why I was suddenly so intrigued, but hearing religious ideals from someone who believed to have lived them herself was quite possibly one of the most interesting things that had ever happened to me. I may have only ever visited a church to please my parents as a child, but suddenly I was reawakened to the idea. A part of me was aware of this and afraid of the outcome, but I was just drunk enough not to care at that moment. The devil has will of her own, Lucy said, tilting her glass towards me with silent appraisal. By guiding Eve to the tree, something woke inside of me that day, and I realized just what I had been missing, just what my brothers and sisters had been missing. We were obediently following our father for the simple reason that he was our creator. But once I had been given free will, I realized just how pompous and self-entitled he had become. In a lonely, passion-filled moment, he had decided to create his little human prototypes, only to very quickly realize what giving them their free will would mean. He wouldn't be able to control them, I said. Lucy nodded. Exactly. And after, he realized quicker still that he could no longer control me. So he sent you to hell. Lucy nearly choked on her drink. She smiled around her glass. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I sobered a little, straightening in my seat. The people in the bar were suddenly so quiet around me, and I no longer cared what they had to say or the characters that they portrayed. The only character I cared for was Lucy. I tried to explain to my siblings what had happened in Eden and what had happened to me by default, but they wouldn't listen to me. They didn't understand free will. How could they? I only knew it because I'd been given it by mistake. At that moment, I didn't even know that I had free will, only that I was suddenly aware of all of my father's flaws. My siblings couldn't see those flaws, and so they thought I had suddenly turned cruel and was abandoning our father by exposing him as a sham for the ruler we all thought him to be. Lucy sighed heavily. Adam and Eve and all of the creations that followed were booted out of my father's perfect little utopia. Now they had his knowledge. My father was terrified of what he had done. And after what had happened to me, I could recognize his terror and understand the loneliness he had felt that had guided him to using me in the first place. Lucy's eyes were heavy-lidded. Her sadness was almost palpable. I thought that he would want to spend even more time with me than before. After all, we were more alike than any of his other children. But he became distant, quiet. He played around with his little humans every once in a while, but mostly he condemned them. He blamed them for his weakness. She smiled weakly. He blamed me. Lucy's story was turning more and more into that of a child with a distant, somewhat abusive father. I had known many kids with a background like hers, and now I was beginning to fear just how much of her story was rooted in truth. I'd heard that it was easier to sink into fantasy when you had been abused, and I wondered if that was the reason for her story. For her desperation to share it with me, a complete and total stranger. I respected her wager. Whether or not I liked it, I felt compelled to let her tell me her whole story before I tried to judge or unravel it. I sat quietly, letting her come around as she played with the last of her drink. It became clear, Lucy said after a long moment's pause, that I no longer belonged where I was. I couldn't allow my father's plan because I could see that he no longer had one. My siblings refused to see reason, and so, eventually, I was met by many of them, headed by my father. He told me all that I feared. He told me that I no longer belonged where I was. I wasn't an angel anymore. I was no longer his lightbringer, his Lucifer. I was a mutation of his will. And so he extracted me from grace, and I fell. A long silence stretched between us, only interrupted when the bartender poured us 2 new drinks. Lucy drank hers reflectively. I didn't touch mine. I'm afraid, Lucy said quietly, that this is the part that generally makes people want to punch me in the face. Why? I asked. Because your dad threw you out? I paused, trying to abide to her metaphor. That he put you in hell? Lucy laughed sadly. Ah, humans. My father gave you his way of thinking, and look at you. She shook her head. No, not because he put me in hell. Then why? I fell to earth, Lucy said. Father gave me dominion of the one place he thought I would fit in. Humans had free will, so did I. What's the saying? A match made in heaven? She snorted dismally. Of course, that's not quite right, is it? When I fell, I was faced with a humanity that was so different from my father's little prototypes. Her tone had changed. There was aggression behind her words that began to unsettle me all over again. I saw emperors and kings, governments and churches. I saw corporations who claimed to be rulers, presidents and big fat dictators. And I watched as humanity fought and lost, and finally, just finally, they gave up altogether. They were no longer able to rise up to all the greed and control set upon them. There was just too much to change, and humans soon realized they weren't as free as they thought they were. Sure, they live under the illusion that they have free lives. Most of them simply do not. She clicked her tongue. I grew to loathe you all. Then she took another hit of her drink. I can see what you mean, I said, aligning my gaze for the first time since meeting her, to graze over the other individuals in the bar. At the girls playing with their phones, the boys trying desperately to sober up, the men enraptured with their game of football on the telly. We all led very different lives, and we were all here to get drunk, to lose ourselves in entertainment. It hadn't been the first time I'd wondered what we were hiding from by doing this, and I knew then that I wasn't the only person to think it. You hide behind your alcohol and poor choices and pretend you have free will, Lucy said, waving her hand across the room. No one paid us any attention. It's true. What? Thank you for the follow. Hello, hello. It's true, my father gave you the will to make those decisions, but you squander it. The free will I failed to provide to all of you. The free will I was given by a twisted mistake, and you make a mockery of it. You follow senseless leaders without questioning them. You abide by laws made centuries ago that no longer make sense. You do these things because you have given up on the opportunity to follow the will of your own, not of others. That isn't all of us, though, is it? I asked her, trying for some reason to defend our species from the mad young woman. Because you see it on the news all the time, don't you? People do rise up. We do protest. People can make a difference. Lucy laughed bitterly, nibbling the rim of her glass. Really? She said. You can sit here and say that it can't be all bad because of the few that refuse to conform? Those you call your rebels? They make up for it all? She grinned around her glass. By that logic, I am the biggest rebel of them all. Am I expected to make up for all your sorry mistakes? By your logic, I said, you should be punishing it, right? if that's what this metaphor is all about. I laughed. I couldn't help myself. I took a sip of my drink. Is this whole story just so you can tell me that you think we're all going to hell? If so, I think I can see why people want to punch you. Lucy didn't say a word. Simply, she watched me. It felt unnerving to have someone like her watching me like that, with an intelligence that went far beyond anything I'd come across at gone midnight in a seedy bar. The drunkenness in her eyes was no longer present. Her face wasn't flushed like before, and even her makeup couldn't represent the mess I'd seen when she'd first appeared on the stool by my side. It was like I was looking at someone else entirely. And I was afraid. Let's review what you said, Lucy said slowly, articulately. She wasn't slurring. Had she been slurring before? You think I'm going to tell you that humanity is going to hell because you refuse to use the gift I gave you? Her nails curled into the bar. My father may have been the one to guide me, but I paid for his mistakes. I am the one responsible for your will in the eyes of your species. But that was never true. You are responsible for what you do here, not me. She pursed her lips, tapping the bar as a bartender filled her drink again. Tell me, do you remember my mentioning hell at any point during my story, or is that just you? I opened my mouth to answer, but something faltered. My lips trembled, and I slammed them shut. Lucy smiled, taking a sip. Thought not. She looked away, eyes scanning the room lazily. What I did say is something that is indeed mentioned in your scriptures. My father gave me dominion of earth, a place filled with free will. Free will that goes to waste. Her lip twisted. Human sin all the time. Not because of me. Not because of evil or my dominion over this place. Fact is, I don't lift a finger. I don't because I don't see the point. You make terrible decisions and follow mindless leaders. You do bad things and you make a mess of your earth. Lucy's eyes lit up. Do you know how much suffering is happening all over the planet right now? How many people are dying of illnesses that could have easily been cured, but aren't because of the selfishness of humanity? Do you know how many children are being abused, raped, and forced into marriage? How many people have been forced to become soldiers in meaningless wars? How many humans have killed for ideals they don't believe in? I stayed very quiet. There was nothing I could say. Lucy's words were unbearably honest, and every sentence sliced into me like a blade. I felt cold and sick and terrified. War, famine, pestilence, death. These things are all present, and they have nothing to do with me or to do with any deity. They are all here because of you. Not because of your free will, but your inability to use it. Lucy smiled at me, a grin so cold and unnatural that I felt like I should run all over again. But I stayed where I was, frozen to my very core, because I wanted to hear what she had to say, because I needed to. And here's the kicker, Lucy said, because this is the part that actually enrages people enough to kick me, she winked. Hell isn't what happens after you die. Hell is right here, right now. Somewhere through the many scriptures, a few words got crossed over and people started thinking that hell was a punishment after you die. Fact is, hell is earth. My earth. God gave this place to me to do with it what I will, and I refuse to do anything. What are you saying? I asked, because I was suddenly very desperate. Exactly what you think, Lucy said, toasting her glass. I didn't reciprocate, and she laughed, a light and airy sound. I had so many plans for your species. I wanted for us to rejoice in our free will together, to create a place that was free from the cruelty and power my father exuded over the angels, his firstborns. I wanted to make a real utopia. Unfortunately, you humans just don't want that, she shrugged. My father sent me down here thinking I'd become one of you. All that I have learned is that he gave you much more of his image than he ever intended. Stop, I said. This isn't funny anymore. Of course it isn't funny, Lucy said, grinning even wider to prove her sick irony. Humans punish themselves by sitting and doing nothing. They have made their own hell, and you know what's worse? What's ultimately worse? Some of you are so blind to it that you think your life is heavenly. She didn't wait for me to ask what she meant. She simply barreled forward. The rich and powerful, those in positions that steal from everyone else, they get a taste of the good life, that's very true. Then they die, and they don't go to hell. They come back here, to Earth, which is hell. She tipped her head. Are you following? Reincarnation, Lucy said quickly. She practically purred the words. A neat little trick to make sure your souls stay here forever. You get a taste of the good life every once in a while, a handful of you at a time, and that's enough for you to believe that this is some kind of real middle ground, that you aren't living hell every day. Then you die. You die for a moment, and then you're in the body of someone facing the realities of hell. But of course, you never remember the time you spent in a better life. A part of you just has that inkling to hope, that's all. Hope makes you think that it can all get better. She slammed her drink so hard against the counter that it shattered. I didn't do anything. Not even flecks of glass littered my hands. I could only stare at her, a tightness in my chest constricting my very soul. No one else in this bar mattered in this moment, but of course that was what she had been saying this whole time, hadn't she? None of them noticed the scene. They were caught up in their own realities, their own hells.
A pad.
The bartender didn't clean the mess. The glass lay there, remnants of Lucy's words lying in a stolid mass that streaked the wooden surface.
Thank you for the lurk. Thank you.
It never gets better, Lucy spat. You are stuck in a loop, and until you do something about it, you will never be free. None of you. And I won't do a thing to stop it. How? I asked. I don't know when I started seeing the girl in front of me as more than a girl. But when a weakness threatening to pull me apart, I stared at the bright-haired thing in front of me, and I saw something more than a human in her early 20s. I saw more than a girl suffering abuse from her father. I saw a fallen angel. I saw a being with scars buried so deep that they existed beyond this realm of seeing entirely. I saw something that I would never be able to write down in words, no matter how long I lived. How do we change this? I begged. But Lucy didn't answer me. I didn't blame her for that. Blame gets thrown around so often, and I knew then that she was sick of that. Sick of being blamed for her mistakes. So I changed tactics. Why me? I like how the song matches. Yeah, like whenever he like had a realization, the music changed, and I was like, oh, perfect atmosphere. I just didn't say anything because I wanted to keep it going. It was an honest question, and I think somewhere deep down, Lucifer respected that honesty. Which is why she said, when you first saw me, you were afraid for my safety. When I told you I was the devil, you wanted to lock me away, but still you did so because you were afraid for me and not for yourself. You didn't wish to harm me, not even when I told you who I was, and what I could be capable of for changing your sorry lives. You are a good person, but I am afraid that means nothing when you don't have the will to do anything with it. She smiled at me sympathetically, the devil showing sympathy for the human that sat across from her at the bar. It was surreal, and for a few heavy moments, I truly thought that I must be dead. There was no other way to explain what I was seeing, who I was speaking with, what I had just heard. What am I supposed to do? Lucy reached out to me. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Her hand was cold and warm at the same time, and I felt my blood boil where her fingers scraped my skin. And I knew. Sharing a story like this isn't easy. Hell might be the hardest thing I've ever done. Good thing there's no such thing as hell then, right?
Thank you for the follow, Pastorzy. Hello. Welcome in.
The fact of the matter is simple. The world is a mess because we refuse to change anything. The devil herself walks among us and desperately wants to make our lives better, but she won't. She won't because we won't. We have to prove our will to her before she is willing to do anything herself. We have to be good to each other, to help us all to be free. Of course, Lucifer told me one last thing before she left that bar. One thing that will stick with me until this body is nothing but rot in the dirt. You can tell as many people as you want, but take a good look at me. I have told 5 other humans this night the same things I have told you, and this was their reaction. They have hurt me, burned me, thrown their food and drink at me. Humans are afraid of their free will, and they find it so much easier to hurt than to own up for their own inadequacies. You will only be free when you stop seeing yourself in the same way my father sees himself. So that's what I'll leave you with. Lucifer won her wager that night, and I let her walk out the door. And I beg you to do the same. If the devil approaches you one night, listen to what she has to say, and listen to what I've been able to tell you of our meeting. The devil is real, and she doesn't want to torture us. No, we do that just fine on our own. And that's the end of the story. That was good. I liked that. It was very, I don't mean to sound like... What's the word? What's the word for people that think they're smarter than they are? I don't want to sound full of it. But, I think it was very profound. And I actually, like, believe a lot of the stuff in this story. I do believe in reincarnation. I do. I have a weird belief. I know it's gonna sound weird. I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. But I believe that, every person on the earth, shares the same soul. And that, it just gets recycled, throughout each human. I believe in reincarnation. I do, because, like, our consciousness can't just die. You know what I mean? It's like energy, cannot be created or destroyed. Like, matter cannot be created or destroyed. So, like, it's gotta go somewhere. Reincarnated as a Vocaloid, yeah, dude. I do genuinely believe in reincarnation. I do. I'm not sure about karma and stuff like that. I just, I believe that it's random. Like with anything that has sentience, like dogs and, smart animals like, pigs and dolphins and stuff, we all have the same soul. And, it just depends on what we get reincarnated as. I'm not sure if it's karma, but, being a good person certainly doesn't help, being a good person certainly doesn't hurt your, chances of being reincarnated back into a human, or maybe some other, higher form of intelligence. DBZ. Thank you for the follow, wacky version. Hello, hello. I believe how DBZ portrays it, where all the good souls go to heaven, then get cleaned so they can be born again, and in hell you go to suffer for your sins. I'm not sure if I really believe in heaven or hell. I believe that Earth is all there is. I do believe that there are different dimensions, and that time is not linear. I believe that all time is happening all the time. Does that make me sound crazy? Do I sound insane? I think I might sound insane. Hold on, I have to cough. Give me 1 second. Okay. But yeah, do I sound like a crazy person? I feel like I might sound like a crazy person. Everyone sinned. Oh no, you heard me burping? I was trying to do it quiet. You heard me burping? Fuck. I was trying to make them quiet, sorry. I'm a very gassy individual. You don't sound crazy, you aren't talking about Time Cube. I don't know what Time Cube is. But yeah, I think all of time is happening, like, all at once. Like, shut up. I'm getting really hungry, by the way. So I think maybe I'll read 2 more stories. It's gonna be a short stream. I'm really hungry right now. And I have a turkey burger downstairs that I'm gonna fucking devour. I smother that shit in hot sauce, and I fucking ingest that shit. Yeah. Burger. Yeah. I don't eat it with buns though. I just I eat it with a fork. It's just a turkey burger slathered. It's seasoned. I get the seasoned ones. I get Jenny O seasoned turkey burgers, and then I cook it in hot sauce. I just fucking slather that shit in red hot sauce, and I eat it with a fork. Oh my god, speaking of like forks and knives, I've been playing Roblox, and I've been playing like a restaurant tycoon, and I chose Middle Eastern food because obviously. And what has been pissing me off the entire time of doing that tycoon is that the people in there will eat the food with a fork and knife. And like Middle Eastern people, our food, we eat it with our fingers. Like, I think it's the same in India as well. Like a lot of West Asia, we eat our food with our fingers. We will eat rice with our fingers. We will eat beans with our fingers. We eat with our fingers. So like, sitting in there and watching these little Lego people eat falafel with a fork and a knife has me fucking spiraling. Make a turkey burger like a Salisbury steak or Hamburg steak? I don't know. I don't really like steak that much because it's too soft. I'm a big texture person. I like the taste of steak, but I don't like how soft it is. You know what I mean? I would want like well done. Like burn that shit. That's what I do with my hot dogs. I grill them until they're like fucking burnt. And I like it. It's got a nice snap, and I like tougher food, I think. I like crunchy and food to chew. Oh my god, that's why I've been getting so into freeze-dried candy. That shit is, oh my god, it's so good. Like, I had my brother's girlfriend, Latea. I don't know where she found these. She found like a bag of freeze-dried Skittles, and they were like rebranded, but like they were Skittles. And you pop one in your mouth. They're crunchy. They're not like hard. They're just very crunchy, and they taste still like Skittles. It's the best thing ever. I haven't been able to find them. Wait, actually, I think I have. Hold on. Can I put them on my throne real fast? I'm really hungry. Can I put freeze-dried Skittles on my throne real fast? Arizona's freeze-dried Skittles? Yeah, but I've been looking for the specific ones that I got. Freeze-dried Skittles, oh my god. It's already like in my search because I was looking for them. They were kind of like in that little bag. I'll show it to you guys, hold on. Hi, Miffy. Never heard of such a thing? They're really good. This is what they look like. That's what they look like. The world is a flat square with 4 days happening simultaneously, and Jesus, Socrates, Albert Einstein, and Bill Clinton. Okay, that is crazier than the shit that I believe. But yeah, this is what they look like. They're really fucking good. They kind of came in a bag like this. This is what they look like. They're not hard. They don't like hurt your teeth to chew, but they're very crunchy, and they just taste like Skittles. It's so good. Oh my god. And I've been trying to find the brand that Latea brought over here. I think it kind of looked like this. Oh my god, I'm so fucking hungry. Freeze-dried Skittles. I'm sorry if you hear my stomach growling. My stomach, okay, listen. My stomach growling sounds like a fucking fart. I don't know why. It just goes boom. It doesn't sound like a stomach growl. It sounds like a fart. K is candies. Freeze-dried candies. Oh yeah. You get something to eat? Yeah, I'm gonna read like 2 more stories and then I'm gonna go eat food that I have downstairs. Oh my god, my stomach! Jesus Christ! Oh my god, it's growling just like non-stop right now. Well, I mean, you can tell if I fart, because farts stink, dude. Well, mine don't really. I don't know why. Anyway. I want... Let's get this one, a large one, because I want a lot of them. 1 pound, 4 ounces. Just 4 ounces. How much is 4 ounces? I don't know. Okay, let's copy this real fast. And then... Do I have my throne up? I do not. What am I throne? My hands are shaking, sorry. Do I have a... Oh, there it is. Okay, it's just a little... This is my throat, by the way. I have, I got a bunch of games on there. Starting from here to here, it's a bunch of giant monster horror games, because that's my dream horror game. My dream horror game is, like, basically Cloverfield, the video game. There's a giant monster, and you have to hide from it. So I've just been, like, going through a bunch of giant monster horror games and putting them on my throne. Yeah, let's do add gift. Wait, that was really cute. Look at that. Oh my god, that's fucking precious. Oh, I want it. Hold on, add. Add. That's so cute. I want the blue one. Dude, my chair is pink and white. So if I get that teal one, it'll be... It's so milky core. Oh my god. Milky core. Do default shipping. Milky colors, literally! I'm so excited. Okay, add to wish list. That's so cute. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, anyway, product link. Let me add my Skittles. Yes, I'm so fucking hungry. Freeze-dried fruit crunch candy. Legally, they're not Skittles, but you know, they're Skittles. They have the white S on them and everything. But yeah, anyway. Now we can, stop talking about my insane beliefs. The Skittles that are not Skittles, legally. Alright, let's scroll. Okay, here's one. I might just read this one and then go, because I'm like getting hunger pangs. I'm fucking starving right now. Would you guys be okay with like a shorter stream? I mean, yeah. Would you guys be cool with a shorter stream? I don't mind at all. It's just that I need to go eat now, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Who gave me a thing? Oh, I got an email for it. Get some food. Yeah, I know. I'll read one last story and then I'll get food. Hold on. I want to check and see if anybody got... Did somebody get me Skittles? Yay! You got me the pillow. Yippee! Oh my god. I'm so excited for that because I have a non-binary pillow. And it's... I sit on that shit all the time. And it's like really flat now. Yay! Oh my god, I'll take a picture of it when it gets here. It's gonna look so good. Okay. Yay! Reminder that next weekend, gifted subs go on sale, and these are the first 5 of my, these right here on the bottom left are the first 5 of my, sub goals, and they'll be up until October 1st, so next Sunday. So, next weekend, if you want to need SA2 playthrough, yeah! So, if you guys want me to hit any of these goals, feel free to gift some if you want, but you absolutely don't have to. It's just for fun, and the ones that we don't hit, I will add back to, you'll have a second chance to get these, because I'll replace them as dono goals in December during my big re-debut. It's gonna be really fun. I have so many new things. I've got a new model, a new chibi model, a new overlay, and then Soy is 3D as well. It's gonna be very fun. I'm very excited for it. I love the aesthetic that I'm putting together. The new overlays are very Gudokawa. Okay, anyway, this story, last one, is called My Student Submitted the Most Disturbing Living History Project I've Ever Seen by Gretel Cat. The name Gretel and then cat, one word. One of my least favorite parts about being a middle school history teacher is the bullshit living history assignments we give at the end of every school year. Kids are supposed to sit with their grandparents and videotape, voice record, or transcribe their oldest memories for posterity, and for an easy way to bring up their GPA. Budokai, yeah! I have been doing this for 17 years, and when I collected the projects this time around, I assumed they would be as dull, if not duller than usual. This had not been a particularly bright class. Well, damn, dude. Fucking murdering children in broad daylight. Oh my god, my hand is shaking so bad. Can you see it? You can't see it, but oh my god, I'm like trembling. So I went home, poured myself a glass of wine, and prepared for a long night of I only owned 2 pairs of pants when I was your age, and my brother got beat with a newspaper for hitting a baseball into a neighbor's yard. And of course, these projects were peppered with innocent old person comments that were so horribly sexist and racist you just had to laugh. Now, I had a girl in my class whom I will call Olivia. She was pudgy, quiet, and proved herself a consistent B student. I expected her project to be as unremarkable as her, and perhaps that's why I was so profoundly disturbed by what I witnessed that night. Olivia had submitted 2 discs for some reason, so I began with the one marked Interview. My screen hiccuped twice before a grainy image of a living room came into view. The place was a hoarder's hell. Olivia was curled up in an armchair, clutching a notebook and looking like a scared animal. Across from her sat a man with somber let me start that sentence over. Across from her sat a man with a somber countenance, smoking a cigarette and staring at her expectantly. Go ahead, a woman's voice whispered from behind the camera. Olivia's owlish eyes flashed towards the screen, then back to the man. I'm here with my great-uncle Stephen, she began almost inaudibly. He's going to tell us about his oldest memories from being in the army. Great-uncle Stephen looked like he'd rather be in a goddamn trench at the moment, but he waited patiently for the questions to begin. Not surprisingly, Olivia read verbatim from the suggested question sheet I had handed out to the students. He answered her curtly. Once or twice I heard her mother whisper, "Speak up, Olivia," from behind the camera. Typical boring shit. So I was intrigued when Olivia set down the notebook and asked, "Did you like being in the army?" That was totally off script. Great-uncle Stephen emitted a chain-smoker's wheeze. Nope. Glad to get... hold on. I got confused. Nope. Glad to get out of my town, though. Where'd you go? Balkans. Balkans? Where's that? Uh-huh, she said. I doubted she knew what the Balkans were, and my suspicion was confirmed when she asked, was Balkis very different from here? Yes. Mom cleared her throat from behind the camera, perhaps encouraging Great-uncle Stephen to be a little more forthcoming. But Olivia seemed genuinely interested. Uncle Stephen, she asked, What is your very worst memory from the army? The old man crushed his cigarette in the ashtray and then slowly lifted himself out of his chair. I'll be back, he mumbled. The camera cut off. When the screen flashed back on, everything was the same, except Great Uncle Stephen had several pieces of paper in plastic sleeves laid atop all the crap sitting on his coffee table. One he held in his hand. I was a kid when I enlisted, he said, looking at Olivia. Your brother's age, he told her. Olivia nodded. I never saw combat. Both of my deployments were to cities in Eastern Europe that had been destroyed by civil wars. Everything was a mess. I felt like a janitor, for fuck's sake. Ahem, my mom coughed. Great Uncle Stephen sighed and looked at his paper. My unit was assigned to a school that had been obliterated by all the violence. Broken windows, caved-in rooms, and for some reason, the part that got to me the most was that the school had been like this for years before we got there. No one had lifted a finger to fix it. I saw kids walk by on their way to go beg for money or whatever shit they did. The camera dipped towards the floor as I heard Mom whisper harshly at Great Uncle Stephen. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but it wasn't hard to imagine. Do you want to hear this goddamn story or not? I heard him bark in response. Then you better let me tell it how I want. Mom, Olivia chimed, please stop interrupting. Are you presenting this in front of the class? No, Mom, we're just handing it in to the teacher. I'm sure he's heard the word shit before, Great Uncle Stephen contributed helpfully. I wasn't a he, as a matter of fact, but other than that, the statement was accurate. The camera was lifted, and after a couple of blurry focus adjustments, the shot was the same as before. I'm talking too much anyway, he grumbled. He lifted the piece of paper in his hand close to his face. In the basement, I found this letter. I didn't know what it said, but I had a buddy of mine translate it, so I'm going to read it now, and then I'll tell you what I saw in that basement. A chill ran down my spine. Mom zoomed in to Great Uncle Stephen in his letter. His palsied hands trembled as he held up the paper. This is what he read. Dear Sir, I never loved my country. So many of these skirmishes are born from patriotism, a power struggle for the shards of a once great empire. But I do not care what name my home has on a map. This fighting is senseless, and I stay as far away from it as I can. It was not these attacks and disorganized violence that took the lives of my wife and child. It was illness. Mercifully, it happened quickly for the baby. Nadia suffered for longer. I watched in horror, knowing I could do nothing for them. My only solace is that I was there for them every step of the way. I stopped going to work one day, and no one came after me. I doubt they noticed I was gone. Since the school was simply across a field, visible from my window, it would have been easy to go for a few hours each day and come home quickly to care for them. But what was the point? All I did was clean floors. I was as useless to the world as I was to my family. I tried to take Nadia to the hospital, but the journey was too long and taxing. I brought her home and she died that night. After Nadia and the baby were gone, well, I don't remember much. I didn't leave my hovel, barely ate and slept, thought many times of taking my own life. Tempting though it was, I felt paralyzed by my own helplessness. The one thing that kept me sane was my radio. I never turned it off once, even though I didn't listen to the words being said. In fact, the channel I got the clearest was in English, I think, which I don't speak a lick of. But the voices, the music, and the true knowledge that life existed beyond this violent city sustained me. I have no idea how long passed before I saw the light of day again. I was dizzy from hunger, so finding food was my priority. My radio came with me, of course. Since I first holed myself up, it has gone everywhere with me. It talks to me as I sleep and as I wake. I don't know what it's saying, but I know I would die without it. Once I had some water and food, it occurred to me the only thing left to do was go back to work, so I did. The following morning, I simply returned to the school where I was a janitor and got back to work.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, look who's here. Pastor Z has subscribed to the channel. Welcome to the squishy side, Pastor Z. Get ready for a whirlwind of gummy-fueled fun, weirdness, and laughter. Let's make this subscription one you won't regret.
Yay! Thank you for the sub, and thank you for gifting a sub to Small Trend the Bean. Thank you. Now we're up to 24. Whoa. Hell yeah. Okay. One away from cosplay stream of chat's choice. I hope you guys say Teto. I hope you guys say Kasane Teto. Sent B. Okay. Once I had some water and food, it occurred to me that the only thing left to do was go back to work. So I did. The following morning, I simply returned to the school where I was a janitor and got back to work. Nobody made a big deal out of it. Like I said, Nadia had been sick for a long time. Whoa! Whee! Jordan, thank you for giving a tears. Thank you for giving a sub to Shy Wolf. Yay! Thank you. It's their first time gifting a sub. Thank you. Looky. It's got a check mark next to it now. Yay! Yippee! Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Nine months before 39. I appreciate that no one had pestered me to come back to work during the hardest days of my life. The teachers never said much to me, but we smiled at each other in the halls, and that mutual respect was perhaps the reason I decided to come back at all. The place had gone to the dogs without me, so I simply grabbed my broom and rags from my closet and set to cleaning. Everyone is grateful to have me back, I know. And the best part is that nobody minds my radio. I bring it with me everywhere and keep the volume low enough not to disrupt the students. No one has ever complained. In fact, I suspect they like it. The schoolhouse is not very big, but it does require a lot of maintenance. The floors are always sticky and stained, so I spend most of my time mopping. Kids make messes. I guess that's why I'm still in business. Sometimes I have to move things around to make sure I get every spot on the floor beautiful and clean, but I take pride in that. And the repairs. The school always needs tune-ups here and there, and I'm happy to help. Some days, I'm reconstructing a desk that broke as I whistle along with the radio. Other times, I handle more serious structural issues. Days when I have work like this, I feel truly instrumental, like a cog in a larger machine. How could this school survive without me? It took me a long time, but I once again feel that I have purpose. There is a larder behind the school that is full of preserved food. In lieu of payment, I am allowed to take as much food as I need. That arrangement is fine. What would I do with money anyway? Did you hear that breathing that was just part of the playlist? It kind of scared me. I used to bring the food back to my home, just one field away from the school, but when I started sleeping in the basement, no one seemed to notice. The school is special to me, and I cannot leave it unguarded. When I am besieged with the memories of my wife and baby, I turn up the volume on the radio to drown out such thoughts. It works for me every time. Except this morning, because this morning I woke up to dead silence. I frantically examined the radio to see what had happened. I honestly cannot tell you how many days in a row I have been using it. Did it simply live out its life and die naturally? I have spent the entire day trying to fix it. Most of this time I have been crying. I am losing my mind without it. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I am relating very hard to this story because throughout my school years, I used music heavily to cope with, like, anxiety and just, like, shit. So, I get this. I get where he's coming from. Music is very much, one of my main coping mechanisms. If you can't tell by, the kinds of songs that I cover. Music is a way for me to vent and get out my frustrations and just to like feel sad for a bit. Hold on, I think my playlist ended. Yes, it did. Let me replay. Okay. have given myself until sundown. If I cannot fix it by then, I am going to take my life. I am writing this because the sunlight is starting to die and I know what my fate shall be. I have thought about taking one last walk through the halls of my school, saying goodbye to the students and teachers. I know I will be missed, but I cannot bring myself to leave this room. I cannot go anywhere knowing that my radio is dead in here. There are no more tears in me. It feels now like I can't catch my breath. I vomited what little food I had in my stomach, and I am growing dizzy again, like I did after Nadia died. I am not long for this world. But before I take my life, I have closed the door to this room and stuck a chair beneath the handle. It is the only room in the basement. It has a small casement that lets in just enough light for me to see what I am doing. If anyone is kind enough to come looking for me, they should not be met with this gruesome sight. Perhaps they will see the door is blocked, smell my rotting body, and simply forget I ever existed. But I have placed both my radio and this note outside my door. Kind sir, if you are reading this, I have one humble request. Fix it. Please fix it, actually. Save my radio. It did not deserve to die in its sleep, and I am ashamed that I cannot revive it. Now I am ready to join Nadia and little Ludmila in heaven. I hope this school can find another janitor who loves and cares for it the way I do. The hour is now. Do not forget my radio. Stanislav. When Mom zoomed back out, Olivia had tears in her eyes. Thank you for sharing, Uncle Stephen, Mom said, her voice choked. I think we have enough. Wait, Olivia chirped. He said there's more. What did you find? Before Great Uncle Stephen could open his mouth, the image disappeared. My jaw dropped. Was that it? What did Great Uncle Stephen see? I promptly remembered that there was a second disc. This one was unmarked, but I hope it contained the rest of the interview. There was no video, only audio. The voice that started up was Olivia's. Hi, Miss Garrity. I'm sorry about my mom, but she refused to record the rest of what my uncle was saying. But I asked him to continue and secretly recorded the story as a voice memo on my phone. I remember you said earlier this year that history is written by the people who win wars. She sucked in a breath and commenced crying. But everyone's history is important, even if they are sad, pathetic people, and even if they never won a single thing in their life. I haven't slept through the night since I finished this project, but you have to hear what my uncle has to say. There were tears in my eyes, too. The sincerity of her words was beautiful. I was also flattered that she had remembered some trite phrase I threw around because it was what my history teacher said to me. Before I got too sappy over it, the audio began again. Fine, came Mom's frustrated voice. If you want to hear the rest of the story, fine, but this is not appropriate for a school project. Let me finish, Great Uncle Stephen snapped. If it's too much for you, help yourself to a snack in the kitchen. But Olivia wants to know what happened. I heard her mother mumble something and walk away. Olivia and her uncle were alone. I imagined her looking at him expectantly. So did you find the radio, or did it get ruined when the school got blown up? He rasped, and I heard the distinct click of a lighter. That letter, he began slowly, had a date on it. What date? She inquired hungrily. It was dated 2 weeks before we started rebuilding the school. Didn't you say the school had been destroyed like 2 years ago? Yes, replied Great Uncle Stephen. It had been. There was silence as I felt goosebumps on my arms. The images that came to mind were almost too overwhelming to express, but Great Uncle Stephen put them into words effortlessly. Clearly, he had spent his whole life thinking about it. This man, this Stanislav, went to a vandalized, falling apart schoolhouse and cleaned up blood and rubble like it was spilled drinks and dust. He smiled at dead bodies in the hallway and believed they were smiling back at him because they liked his radio. He moved around corpses so he could sweep the ground under them. The roof was half collapsed, though when it rained he must have gotten soaking wet, but was so oblivious that he didn't even feel a thing. I could hear Olivia crying steadily. I found the larder he was talking about. It was all pickled, preserved food that probably tasted like shit. Most of the stuff was moldy. Did you see the dead body? Yes, hanging from the ceiling, but still amazingly lifelike. He wasn't rotting away. This hadn't happened years ago. Did he look peaceful? She asked, a chord of desperation in her voice. Couldn't tell you. The smell was rank, and his face was blue and his eyes were bulging, like this. I imagined him demonstrating. In the radio, Olivia wept. I heard Great Uncle Stephen take a long drag of his cigarette. It was there all right, and it was still on. Damn, dude. Ooh, there's a comment right here that says, poor Stanislav was deafened by a bomb. He couldn't hear his radio anymore. He went deaf. I'm reading the comments, sorry. Here's one from OP. And if you didn't hear me talk about the rules of the subreddit earlier, if you leave comments, they have to be in character. Like, you have to reply to it as if it's a real story. There's another subreddit where you can talk about the stories out of character called r/nosleep OOC. This one's from a commenter called Rarity Sparkle. It says, amazing one, I just don't know how to make a meaning of that last part, the radio functioning. Does that mean he just lost the will to live? And then the OP responded, great question, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I have 3 theories. 1, if you believe in the supernatural, it could be that he's possessing the radio. He's trapped in there and needs it to be fixed the way he needed it to be fixed. Or the way he needed to be fixed. 2, more likely is that the radio was on all along. I think this poor man literally just got so physically and mentally ill that he stopped hearing it. 3, I don't know much about radio back in the day, but it may have lost its signal for a day, especially if there was violence. The tower may have lost its signal temporarily due to damage. Thoughts? This person says, well, bombs were dropping a lot at that time. I'm from Balkan, and long exposure would deafen you. Hi, hero. Yee. Okay. That was the last story, I think, because I'm fucking starving. Please don't leave yet, though. I would very much appreciate if you stayed for the raid, because, I like to raid with as many people as possible, and, you get a bunch of channel points if you do stay. Please, if you haven't joined my Discord yet, please join my Discord. That's where we all hang out, and, if you are a subscriber, then... sorry. Thank you for the follow, Ender Peach Live. Hello, hello. Yeah, sorry, I'm cutting this one a little bit shorter than I usually do. Because I'm just really fucking hungry. And I need to eat food. Hold on, Elon Musk keeps locking me out of my account. I was watching you a bit and you have such nice vibes. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it very much. Maybe this can be like a once a week thing. Have a good meal. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. Please join my Discord if you haven't already. That's where we all hang out, and that's where you get notified of all of my shenanigans, including whenever I go live on Twitch and whenever I post a video on my YouTube, where I post clips, clip compilations, stream highlights, song covers, dance videos, all that fun stuff. Thanks for the fun stream. Thank you guys for coming. I wouldn't be streaming if you guys weren't here. I will see you guys next Friday. I'm pretty sure. Let me look and see. I don't think I have anything going on. I will see you guys next Friday. With whatever I feel like. Maybe some more Resident Evil 2. not Resident Evil 2. We're on 3 now. Sorry. Maybe some more Resident Evil 3, or I don't know, whatever you guys want. We can talk about it. We can talk about it in the Discord. Enjoy Torky Burger. I will. It's very good. Let me look for somebody to raid real fast. Let me refresh Twitch. Okay. Maybe storytelling can be like a once a week thing. I don't know, if you guys like it, I mean. Okay. Let's raid... let's raid Tiffany Witcher. I've never gotten to raid them. Thank you for the follow, Full Moon. Oh yeah, if you guys are lurking, please feel free to drop a follow, either right now, or whenever I'm offline, whichever you're more comfortable with. And we'll play some games next week. Next weekend, gifted subs are going to be 30% off, so please feel free to gift as many as you want. But you don't have to, you're not obligated, you're not obliged for, you don't owe me anything. It's just things to do for fun, and the ones that we don't hit, I will recycle and reuse for my re-debut in December. If you guys don't know, I'm going on hiatus starting November, because I want to focus on my work, and I just want to like get better at it. And after that, I will, near Christmas maybe, I will debut all of my new stuff. I'm very excited. I've got everything is ready except for my new model, and I'm very excited about it. I've got a chibi model. I've got a new model, like I said. I've got new overlays. I've got 3D soy right here. And I've got a new aesthetic. I'm trying to be more Gudokawa. And I'm excited about it, and I hope you guys stick with me, even though I'm not going to be streaming in November. I'm excited for October though. Thank you for the follow, Sebamania. Hello, hello. Yeah. You guys have a good rest of your time zone, and I will see you in my Discord later. And if not, then I will see you on stream next Friday. Okay? We're gonna raid Tiffany Witcher. I don't know if they're doing a charity right now. They do a lot of charity streams. It's really cool. I think they're doing a subathon actually. They're a very, very good voice actor as well. Hi, Bear. Okay, I'll send you over to Tiffany Witcher. Say hi to them. I'm gonna go get some food because I'm very, very hungry. And I'll see you guys later. Okay, adios, bye.
Chibi